Hello and welcome back to Lightworker Training. My name is Tatiana and the topic of today's video is the importance of mindfulness. So this, some of these titles just kind of crack me up that it's so ridiculous that we even need to talk about things like this. But hey, this is the world we live in. And I know there's a lot of teachings out there about mindfulness. I'm just going to give you my 2 cents and see how it resonates. Okay, so in the last video, holding space, the second in the series of the foundational playlist, I talked about holding space and what maybe a new way of thinking about holding space. And I talked about holding space in your own energy field, how your own energy field is the container for healing. And in a sense, you are the space that you're holding for healing, and the love vibration is the healer, right? That's what we talked about in the first video of this chapter on foundations. So I want to talk more about what I started getting into in the last video. And so I was talking about when that energy of a trigger, a trauma trigger, or something like that comes up, emotional energy gets triggered. It's First of all, we need to know that that's based on something in the past, right? Very important, based on something in the past. It's not a reaction to something that's happening in the present most of the time. Okay, so maybe even 99 and some change percent of the time, it's going to be based on something from the past. When we heal all that shit, we can be truly present to what is actually happening in the moment and respond to it in a way that's very clear, very grounded, decisive, powerful. And there's all kinds of things that are going on that could elicit some kind of an emotional response, right? We see something really beautiful and we're like just touched by the poignancy of something in life, and maybe we get kind of weepy. That's responding to something in the present, but maybe also has some past energy on it, some old trauma energy on it, or whatever. So just know that a lot of what we're feeling is a lot of baggage from the past. I talked about this in the last video, how we often don't have time to process our emotions and feelings and trauma and things like that. And so it'll get stuck, it'll get trapped in the body until the body is in a space where it can release and process it. So part of the reason why the system, the parasitic system, loves to bombard us with fear porn is to keep us in a place where we never really feel safe enough to process. Because once you process that stuff, you are free of it. It is not natural to go around with all of this baggage. It is helpful to the system for us to be weighed down with all that baggage and to be constantly in a state of emotional reaction rather than being really clear and grounded and connected to our higher self and knowing what we know and making those powerful choices of how we're going to direct our attention, our energy, our consciousness, our will, right? The system wants us to not be in control of that. They want to control how we direct our attention with all of their distractions so that they can harvest our energy. Now they're, into stealing all kinds of things. But the real underlying substance, if you will, underneath all of these things that are getting stolen, our time, our money, our life force, underneath all of that is our attention and energy, our light, our soul. It's a soul trap. It is like that movie The Matrix, right? Where we're the little batteries because we are filled with the organic light of creation. This is, these soulless entities don't have that. They have cut themselves off from that or are completely inorganic to begin with. So, they need to steal from an organic light source, which is us. We are the source. We are the source. Okay, wow, that was a little bit of a tangent. So when these kinds of triggers come up, it's very, very easy to collapse. And so I talked about this in the last video, that collapsing back into the victim energy, collapsing into the wounded aspects of self, collapsing into the powerless inner child self, etc., etc. System loves that because it doesn't want us in our power. It doesn't want us present. So the importance, one of the main reasons why mindfulness is so important as the topic of this video. See how I got back on topic? One of the reasons why is that we need to be present in our present adult, badass, wise selves, our powerful selves. That's who we are. And we're getting more and more powerful every day as we bring our attention and our will to healing all this stuff from the past. When we clear all this energy, we are free. Free to create something else besides the same patterns and programs, those painful patterns and programs. We just feel like we're on a hamster wheel sometimes, right? Or we did until we started learning this stuff, right? So what is the energy that keeps us in that low vibrational state of collapse? It's a big old shame spiral. So let's talk a little bit about shame, because there is a healthy kind of shame. The shame of like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I feel so ashamed. I'm so sorry. Let me make amends. That's healthy shame, when you've actually done something wrong and you need to course correct. Shame is a very low vibrational, very, very painful energy. And that healthy shame exists to be like, hello, wake up, stop what you're doing and course correct immediately, right? So it's just a flag. All of our emotions are simply showing us information so that we can make a correction. So there's also toxic shame. So this is very important to know. Toxic shame isn't like I did something wrong. Toxic shame is there's something wrong with me. I'm wrong. I'm bad. So the inner children take on this program of I'm bad, I'm wrong. I have to do X, Y, Z to be a good little boy or good little girl, right? And then if I'm good enough, then I can finally get love and support, and it's all a performative thing, right? But it's never enough, is it? When it's healthy, once you make the correction, boom, you're good. You feel good. You're like, man, I did it. You feel good. So when it's never enough and you're never good enough, that is a huge red flag. You took the highway to the danger zone. You went into the parasite zone. That's toxic shame. Toxic shame is I'm never good enough. I'm never, mindful enough, healthy enough, powerful enough. I never do this good enough, that good enough. Whatever is going on in my life, it's never good enough. So it's one thing to say, I like this. This is cool. I like what I did there. That could maybe be a little bit better, but you know what? I'm going to put that in the win column. So that's a very balanced critique of something where you say, hey, I did that well. I'm going to give myself high fives because I showed up and I did this and I did that. That thing could have been better, you know? So you're being real with yourself. You're not delusional, but when you have that feeling of it's never enough, it's never enough, it's never enough. Okay, who is it never enough for? Is that you? Or is that the the parasites, right? It's never enough for them because they don't generate their own life force energy. Because they are not source. They are not of the organic light and love of creation. So they need to plug into us. So then we take on their energy of it's never enough. They're like hungry ghosts. They're hungry. They're always hungry, hungry, hungry. It's never enough. It's never enough. That's a parasite. That's the parasite. Okay. So this feeling of not I did something wrong, but I am wrong. I am never enough is the toxic shame energy that will drag you into this very low vibrational state. And it's all because of our trauma and conditioning, right? All of us social conditioning, brainwashing, trauma-based trauma and trauma-based mind control. Trauma is absolutely used as mind control. I remember when I was a kid, I even thought I had this thought wow, isn't it interesting that all of these cartoons are all about violence? Kind of weird. Kind of weird. Okay. So, boop, 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 boop. So that's healthy shame versus toxic shame. Pretty clear? Well, you'll know when you're in toxic shame. It's happened to all of us. And it's very tricky to make that choice to come back into alignment with love and set your energy field to a vibration and a frequency that's actually going to start healing stuff. And in the last video, I talked about cultivating that fiery will and that inner strength and the courage to be like, not today. You are not dragging me down. That's not my shame. That's your shame. Parasite. That's not my shame. That's your shame. Whoever dumped their toxic shame on me, because we get dumped on as children. We get dumped and dumped and dumped this toxic shame energy. Okay, so how do we get out of it? I like to give solutions here. Wow. I don't know what's going on out there. There's a weird noise all of a sudden. I like to give solutions to these things and not just leave you hanging there like, am I screwed? No, you're not screwed. So when you find yourself in that place of feeling hooked in a shame spiral, and you're having a hard time getting out of it, you must first have the awareness of what is really going on. Awareness is key. So, this is the importance of mindfulness. We actually have to use our mind to have the awareness, the insight, the epiphany. Whoa, it's a parasitic attack. It's not me. That is the thing that feels like it's not enough and it's not good. And it's right. It's actually right. But that's not me. So we have to have the awareness that this is even a thing that can happen, that does happen, that is happening in that moment, that we need that healing. So to have the healing occur, we first need to have this mindfulness, this awareness of what's really going on, right? And then once you get that awareness, you can start to ask questions like, who does that thought belong to? Is that even mine? You can start making commands. Anything that's not me, return to sender, get out of my space. No, 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 no. Start fighting some of that stuff off, sending it back, right? But first, we have to get present and tune in. Very challenging when you're being sucked into a past trauma energy. You're literally having a flashback. You're having a flashback. So I'm going to talk a lot about things like this, like what flashbacks really are, because they're, of course, portrayed in this really fantastical way in Hollywood. But it's actually really common, and we all have emotional flashbacks all the time. Well, not all the time. And I don't affirm that we will blow up that thought. Let's just say it happens. Okay. I want to share with you a tool that you can use to get present and get curious and start having this awareness that, remember when I was talking about the energy of love versus fear? I talked about love as not being this Hollywood crap that's put forward, but actually it's this spiritual quality that includes this openness to, wow, what's really going on here? Openness to infinite possibilities, openness to go beyond our belief systems and social conditioning and trauma and things like that. So let's get into this tool that I'd like to share with you to get into that place of presence and openness. Okay, so I'm going to guide you through a little process, and this process can be trance-inducing. So if you are driving, absolutely stop this recording. Why are you listening to a video while you're driving, first of all? Don't even get me started on how all podcasts are video podcasts now. Not all of them. I'm exaggerating. I just want audio podcasts. Is that too much to ask for? Okay. But okay, so if you're driving, you're not listening to me right now because you turned it off, right? If you're operating power tools, you're not doing this, right? Okay, good. So whoever's left listening, we're going to do this tool to help shift out. So I'm just gonna guide you through a process. So get in a comfortable seated position. You're gonna keep your eyes open for this process. But what I would like you to do, or my invitation to you, should you choose to accept it, is to pick a place for your eyes to rest. So your eyes are going to remain still. Your gaze and your focus is going to stay steady. You're not going to let yourself look around all over the place, okay? And it's not going to be a hard focus, but there's going to be a stillness there. So pick something in the middle distance to focus on. Sorry, I said focus, but a place to rest your eyes, a place to rest your gaze. You're going to keep your eyes open, but then you're going to start to soften the gaze, soften all around the eyes. And you're going to let that focus get a little bit blurry, softening the eyes and letting the focus get soft. And as you do that, you'll start to become aware of the peripheral vision. So it's just a wide soak rather than a focus, okay? Good. So that's point number one. We'll come back to it. I'm gonna share with you some points and then we'll put them together. Okay, so that's the gazing piece. It's a little bit different because we're not used to using our eyes that way. So I wanted to explain it. The other thing, so you can still let your eyelids blink normally. Like if you need to blink, you know, you don't have to hold your eyelids open at all costs. You can blink. But you want to keep your gaze absolutely still. This is very challenging for some people. And so the harder it is, the more healing you're going to get out of it. Okay, so the second point we're going to hold is stillness in the body. So a still gaze and a still body. So we're not going to let ourselves get all fidgety. We're going to really just total stillness. Even if it feels like, oh, I got an itch, like just let it go. Feel the itch. Feel it and just keep holding the stillness. Okay, that's number two. Number three is all of the sounds. We're going to really just pay attention to all of the sounds all around us. The sound of my voice, the sounds all around, okay? So that's going to be the third one. And then the fourth one is the feelings. You're going to feel all of the things in your body. Maybe your body's like, I want to move around. You're going to just feel that and feel it and feel it and feel it. So we're going to hold all 4 points absolutely as strong as we can. The stillness, the listening, soaking in all of the energy around us visually, orally, and sensually. I feel like there's other words I'm missing here, but you get the idea. Okay, so we're going to start the focus now. So get into a comfortable position. Allow yourself to breathe normally as you come into stillness in the body. Let's pick a position and hold that stillness. Pick your place to rest your gaze and let your eyes become soft. And start to cultivate deep listening of my voice and all the sounds around you. Sound of your breath. And then feeling the air on your skin, feeling the movement of your breath, feeling the subtle energies in your body, maybe the not so subtle energies. We're going to hold these 4 points of focus: still gaze, still body, listening and feeling, for about 1 minute starting now. And take a deep breath in and release your focus. And notice what you're feeling in your body now. So this is a tool that I like to call present moment awareness. I don't know where I got that name. Um, it is a tool you can use to give yourself these anchoring points into experiencing and having awareness of the present moment. This can really help you break out of that shame spiral. Doesn't matter if you do it and you still hear the parasite going, it doesn't matter if you do it and you still feel terrible. What matters is that you made the choice to become present. That in itself is healing. Okay. So I gave 4 points. 4 points will usually give you enough to focus on. Once you do this a while, you might be able to get present just by taking a deep breath. You might be able to get present by just closing your eyes and listening to sounds. You might be able to get present by just allowing your eyes to be still and soft. You might be able to get present by just feeling the feelings, really focusing on the somatic experience and maybe even describing what you're feeling. All of these things work, but sometimes we're really spun out and one isn't enough. But when you layer them like this, you are giving your mind and your consciousness, your body, all of these things, you're giving your eyes something to do, your ears something to do, right? So you're giving yourself things to focus on that makes it a lot harder to get distracted, a lot harder. And sometimes you're just having one of those days where 4 isn't enough. You can add another layer. You can add another point of focus. So another point of focus could be, holding a mudra or hand gesture, focusing on feeling the energy in your hands. It doesn't really matter what one you like. If you're into mudras or you want to look stuff up, you can. What was I going to say? Oh, the other one, and this is one that I really like a lot, is breath regulation. But you could just focus on the breath. So that could be another one, another point. So you could do the still gaze, the listening, the feeling, the still body. And then as you're doing that, focus on the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. So what can help is to add like a little mantra to that, like breathing in, I'm breathing in, breathing out, I'm breathing out. And just so then it gives you another thing that you're focused on so that you can't be having all these other chitter chatter thoughts or parasitic thoughts. Another one that I like even more than the words is the counting. So I like to do the counting and regulation of the breath based on the number of counts. So this has really helped me sometimes where I've had such crushing anxiety that I couldn't sleep hardly at all. And I started to get a little, you get a little off when you don't sleep. I thought it was, I mean, I kind of did lose my mind, but I thought I was going to lose my mind worse than what I did. But the thing that really helped me, and the only way I was able to get any sleep at all, is through breath regulation. So I would count my breath, and I would actually keep increasing the length of the breath so that I was breathing very, very slowly and deeply. And if I was counting that for several minutes, then eventually I would drift off to sleep for a couple minutes, which is great. I would take whatever I could get at that point. So how the breath regulation and counting looks is, you can make whatever pattern you want, but it's usually like inhale for a certain amount of counts, hold for a certain amount of counts, exhale for a certain amount of counts, hold for a certain amount of counts. So here's a basic one. Some people do 4 by 4 by 4 by 4. So 4 inhale, 4 hold, 4 exhale, 4 hold, 4 inhale. So that would look like inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale. So you can make it slower. You can say 1, 2, do whatever tempo works for you, or add numbers. A lot of people like to do like 6 and 3, or 8 and 4, so that the breathing part is longer than the holds. So you just make up your own pattern, whatever works for you. So it might be inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold 2, 3, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, hold 2, 3, right? So that's 6 and 3. Could do 6 and 3 if that feels better. But you would be doing that in your mind, breath regulation, while you're holding your points of focus. And that I haven't found that I've been so squirrely that those 5 points haven't worked. So if 4 isn't doing it for you, add the 5th one. Or if you just want to do breath regulation by itself, like I did unknowingly, I was just like, man, I'm really OCD because the only thing that helps me is like counting my breath. But it worked. And I didn't know anything about any of these tools. I just started doing it. So yeah, that's the present moment awareness tool. And so this can help you to shift to a state of presence, mindfulness, openness, love, receiving the healing, being, shifting into a place of being able to be grounded and aware enough of what's really going on that you can start taking those steps to be like, okay, send that back, chop, chop, chop. That's me cutting all the cords of attachment, sending the entities back, sending all the collective crap back. So I hope that's helpful. And I will be back with more on the foundations of healing. Like I said, I have a lot to say about the how to heal the trauma energy, because that's really what's stopping us from being present and getting shit done as the powerful co-creators that we truly are. So I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Lightworker Training. Bye for now.